Welcome back to Between the Shelves. I'm your host, Alex, and this episode I'm joined by our library director, Jenn.
Hi, Alex.
Hi, Jenn.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. And we're also joined by Adult Services librarian superstar, Peter.
Hi. Thank you for calling me a superstar.
Indeed, you are.
We have a very special episode. This bi-weekly episode is mystery themed. So I wanted to bring in two of our staff members who are mystery enthusiasts, little gumshoes, if you will, in the library. So in the latter half of the episode, we're going to be getting deep into the mysteries. So stay tuned for that. But until then, let's talk about what we're into right now. Do either of you want to start off? I can start off if you...
I'm happy to start.
Okay.
If we're talking a little bit about books,
anything.
I'm a huge audiobook listener. I often say I'm reading. I don't think there's any difference between listening and reading to a book. I have a pretty long commute, so audiobooks are my lifeline. So I just wanted to mention I just finished Demon Copperhead. I don't know if either of you have read that or listened to that yet.
Marianne was talking about it on her episode. She loved it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So she had checked me on Goodreads on that, and it's still with me. If you haven't listened to it, everybody put it on reserve on your Libby app. One of the best audiobooks I've heard probably in a year.
Really?
Yeah. It's fantastic. It's fiction, kind of inspired by David
Copperfield.
Copperfield, but takes place in Appalachia. And it's written in the first person, kind of like memoir style, but fiction. Fantastic.
Actually have that on my to-read list already.
You're going to love it. You're going to love it. I'll just mention a couple of other books that I've read recently, and I tried to find what like genre this is. So they come under quirky, sensitive books. And one is Anxious People by Frederick Bachman. And that was the same guy who wrote Man Called Ova. I'm never sure how Uva, which is now going to be a movie with Tom Hanks. Fantastic. Don't be thrown by the title, Anxious People. Because you know, people thought, I don't that title. No, it's not anxious at all. And another brilliant one, Remarkably Bright Creatures by Shelby Van Pelt, which is about an octopus in captivity in Seattle. Fantastic. And Before the Coffee Goes Cold. Now I'm going to try to say this author's name. I don't know if this is going to be correct. It's Japanese. Toshikazu Kawaguchi. And it's translated, obviously, from Japanese. Really good. It's when you can go into a coffee shop, and if you get at a certain table, you can have 1 hour. You can go back in time to another period in your life.
I just heard about this.
Yeah.
Where did I hear about this? Somebody was just telling me.
There's actually a sequel now. It's really, really good, really well written. So those are my 3 recommendations outside of the mystery genre that I think people might love to read.
Awesome. Peter, what are you into right now?
I read a couple of things. The first thing is a TV show. It's called The Traitors. It's a reality show, and the host is Alan Cumming. And it's really fun. Basically, they have half of the contestants. They're in a castle in the Scottish Highlands. Half of the contestants are famous people from reality shows. Like, you know, Survivor, Big Brother, all the different ones. And then half the people are just normal people, but 3 of them are traitors, and it's kind of their job to murder people. Oh. And if the traitors win, they get the money, and if they figure out who the traitors are. Yeah. And, you know, it's kind of a standard reality show setup, but Alan Cumming is so good in it. He comes out every episode, he's in a new outfit.
I love it.
It's always tartan, and he's got a different color beret in every episode, and
where can we watch that?
The colors. Oh, it's on Peacock.
Oh, fantastic.
If you have that. Or I think they might play it on NBC too.
Yeah.
So that's really fun if you like reality shows. And, you know, they're out they have challenges out in nature in the Scottish Highlands. So it's pretty too. The other thing that I'm really into right now, I just finished a book. It's called The Three Body Problem. Mm-hmm. It's a science fiction book by a Chinese author, Cixin Liu. And I'm a big science fiction fan, but I've been really interested lately in reading books the classic sci-fi is like, especially with aliens, they're always coming to the U.S. So this is like kind of it's hard sci-fi. There's a lot of physics and really interesting stuff, but it's, the people who made first contact with these aliens are people in China, which is, very plausible.
Right.
Most people live there. So really great book. He's written a bunch of other books, but it's, if you're like me, you've read a lot of sci-fi books, you're looking for a new perspective and a new way to look at it. And it's definitely that.
Yeah. I read that last year. I really liked it. It's a very unique, hard sci-fi. Yeah, it's very grounded in reality. But yeah, it does get very heavy into the math and physics too, which kind of lost me a little bit. And there's like a whole half of the book set in like a virtual reality sort of world, if I remember correctly.
It's a computer game.
Yeah.
That they invented that
cool.
is kind of based on this
it simulates
alien culture, and they're basically it actually becomes a religion. There are people who they think that they're coming to save them, and there's another sect of people who want the aliens to come because they've lost faith in humanity and they think we should be destroyed. So
and that's the first book of a trilogy too, right?
I
think so. I think it is. Be. Yeah.
I have a question. So I don't really read sci-fi, and do either of you have a suggestion for somebody who wants to try it out? What would be a good, not to, this one sounds a little bit on the deep end. Mm-hmm. Fascinating, but seems like...
Yeah, definitely not the 3-body problem. It's
that
not
shouldn't be your first foray into
I'm
sci-fi.
trying to think of a good... there's some things where there's, I call it there's a sci-fi setting, but it's pretty real, what's it called? Never Let Me Go by Kazuo Ishiguro.
Oh, yeah. I've read that.
That's
I didn't
a good one.
realize that was considered sci-fi.
Well, because it's talking about the clones and everything.
Oh,
that's
yeah,
sci-fi. A lot of people think of sci-fi as aliens, but it's just any kind of speculative science thing.
Right.
Interesting. That was a fantastic book. Say the name of that book again so people know that one.
Never Let Me Go by Kazuo Ishiguro. It's actually my favorite book.
Yeah. Heartbreakingly beautiful. Have you read it?
No, but Alex? It's on my to-read list, so maybe I'll bump it up the list.
Yeah, really good. One of the ones that when you're listening to it, you're sitting in your car, in your driveway. Because you want to get at least to the end of the chapter. Excellent. Okay, so maybe I am a sci-fi reader.
I think if you like comedy books, I think Douglas Adams' Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, you can't go wrong with that.
Right? And that's fantastic.
Famous. It's famous. It's an easy read. It's funny. The sequels I didn't care for so much, but the first one's a classic. And if you want something more towards the harder sci-fi, kind of world-building sci-fi stuff, Dune. Dune's a classic.
Okay. Have not read that either.
It's brilliant.
So I find that I go on Jags. I do love a good thriller, but a lot of them it's essentially the same book over and over. I mean, how many times can you hide the woman upstairs behind the window? And it almost becomes satire. But when you hit on a good thriller, it's it's wonderful. But I get a little oversaturated, and then I switch. I try to do every third book to do something that's a little bit more challenging, or maybe a prize winner or something, just to keep me feel like my brain cells from not thinking about murderers and people hiding in the attics, because it gets into your head after a while. So I'm going to try Dune and Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, 2 recommendations.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anything else, Peter?
No, those are things I'm into.
You're into? Right. Okay, I'll go. So at the end of the year, I try to find all the lists of the best albums of the year. So I go to a bunch of different websites and magazines and try to find their list, because everybody publishes the top 50 albums of the year.
Yeah.
And I do that because as I get older, I find it's harder to discover new music. And now, especially with Alexas and Google Homes and Spotify and everything, they're just recommending music to you, but they're only recommending stuff that's stuff you're already listening to. So It's hard to discover new things.
Yeah.
So that's my method of trying to find new music. So I've been scanning through maybe 100 albums over the past month, and most of it I really dislike. But 3 albums I keep coming back to, and we're going to do a music episode in in the future that I'll get more into it.
Yeah.
But the 3 albums I keep coming back to, I just want to mention briefly. You should definitely check them out. Libraries have them. You can check them out from the library. The first is called The Seventh Hand by Emmanuel Wilkins. It's a jazz album. I've kind of been like a light jazz fan for a long, long time. I'm from Newport, Rhode Island, so we have the Newport Jazz Fest. So I've been going to that since I was a kid, and that's really been my only exposure to jazz. I don't really seek out or really like dig into like deep into jazz, but when I hear something that I like, I'll add it to my regular rotation of music. And this album is my favorite album of 2022 that I've discovered. It's called Seventh Hand by Emmanuel Wilkins. Another jazz album that I found that I really like is called In These Times by Micaiah McCraven. This one is less like a 4-piece jazz band. This one's more, not ambient, but it's more melodic, kind of just easy listening, sort of atmospheric. That's a better word for it. Seventh Hand is more, fast-paced, kind of like you'd hear in like a club. You kind of associate it with that kind of stuff. Yeah. So those are 2 albums I've been really into right now. I just keep coming back to them. They're great, like background, music while I'm cooking or whatever. And then the 3rd album is probably more divisive. So this is an artist that I kind of check in on every once in a while. I wouldn't say I'm his biggest fan, but he's interesting. And it's Kendrick Lamar. His new album is called Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. So I'm not a big rap fan. I kind of stopped listening to rap around the early 2000s because it just got way too commercial and I really lost interest in it. But, there's a few artists I'll check in on just to see kind of where the genre is going. And his new album is really fantastic. I didn't expect to enjoy it as much as I am, but it's great. It has some great R&B kind of tracks on it too.
Kendrick Lamar.
Really? Okay.
Who is not somebody of my age you would maybe necessarily think fan, especially a West Coast rap. I grew up with that in my ears, and I love it. And I think he's actually a genius and one of probably the best artists of our time right now.
Yeah. I'm glad to hear that because I was hesitant to even mention it.
The other 2 I had not heard of, but Kendrick Lamar is amazing.
I like him too. I haven't heard the new album yet. So.
It might be my favorite, honestly. His first album was my favorite, and this one is more poetic. I think his lyrics are really strong with this one. Like I just keep coming back to it. I can't move on from it. So I've been really into music this month.
That's wonderful. So do you take it out on vinyl, or are you listening to it just through your streamings?
CDs.
Or in CDs.
CDs, I'll check out the CD. Yeah. Listen to it in my car, mostly. Yeah. That's awesome. My vinyl record player is not set up right now. Sorry, Peter. But
you gotta fix that.
I know. So music's what I've been into, and I'll mention this very briefly because I want to move on and cover some mystery stuff. But the Oscar nominations just came out. Yes. We're recording this on January 27th, and the Oscar nominations came out 2 days ago, I think.
Yeah, 2 or 3 days ago.
So I'm super excited about the Oscars. As anyone who knows me should know, I am a huge movie fan, so I'm just rapidly checking off all the movies that are nominated for anything, and I only have less than a handful to go before the Oscars.
Listeners, Alex does a little internal for our staff. We do a little Oscar picks, who can pick the most winners. Mm-hmm. So that's really fun. I watched recently the Irish movie. The
Banshees of Inisherin?
Yes. And have you guys seen it yet?
Of course.
Okay. So we don't have to talk about because I don't know how to talk about it without giving something away, and I would want people to experience it from beginning to end. The acting in that, A++. The story I kind of realized afterward, like, who the creator of the movie. Now I understand, like, I get it. Mm-hmm. But if you haven't watched that, I think it's on Netflix. I think you can catch it.
It's on HBO Max.
Oh, HBO Max. Yeah. Okay. I watched that, and it was really, really good.
Yeah, I loved it. It's in my top 5.
It did really well at the Golden Globes, too. Yeah. So there's a good chance it's going to be a front runner there.
It's definitely deserving of all its accolades right now. Yeah. And we'll see. I can't believe it's Colin Farrell's first Oscar nomination. I was shocked. Yeah, I was shocked to hear that.
Good for him.
Yeah.
And the other guy, what's his name?
Gleason. I think Gleason, right?
The Older Gentleman?
Sure.
The Older Gentleman.
Yeah.
Look
it's
it
a
up.
shocking movie, but really good.
And not what I was expecting at
No.
all, but really, it'll get you. It'll start a conversation when you're done. It's
Right.
that type of movie where you want to talk about it after you finish watching it.
And Peter, you're going to open up with the movie and you'll be like, oh, it's one of our wonderful, beautiful settings that we love to watch these like cozy mysteries, and that's not what's going to happen. But you'll love the scenery too in the movie.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
All right, well that's what I'm into right now. So everybody I've had on the podcast so far, we are in 2023 right now, but I've given everyone an opportunity to talk about some of their favorite books they read last year in 2022. Mm-hmm. So do you have any that you want to share with our listeners? Any choice picks?
I do.
Go right ahead.
I'll go first this time. My favorite book that I read last year, and this I think is the only book I read last year that was actually released last year, is The Devil House by John Darnielle. And some people might know him. He's the lead singer for the indie rock band The Mountain Goats, which are really
sure.
they're the kind of band that it's mostly about their lyrics, so it makes sense that he became a writer. This is his third book, and it's also a little bit on theme. It's the concept of the book is it's a true crime writer who's writing his second novel. He buys this place called the Devil House. It's in Northern California, and it's the site of a murder from years back that has been. It was originally a video store that closed, and they converted it into a house. And he buys the house, this writer, and he's there to write this true crime book about the murders. And at the same time, it's telling the story of his first book, which was based on another crime, and he's corresponding with the mother of the person that was murdered. And for people like us who read a lot of mysteries and true crime or watch shows or documentaries, it really, he's got a talent for making you think of things in a different way. It makes you kind of examine what your reasons are for liking that, and how these type of books might affect the people who are involved in these real murders. And he's one of my favorite authors, and I really recommend it. That was my favorite book from 2020.
And he's got another book coming out this year, I think, right?
I'm not sure. I haven't heard of it that he was, but
all right, I might be wrong, but I've heard he's a great writer.
So for me, I'm looking at my Goodreads list. Everyone who knows me knows I'm always talking about the Thursday Murder Club books, which we can talk about in a minute. But this was a fun little book. It's short, called An Elderly Lady is Up to No Good. It's Swedish, so you have to obviously get a translation. So it's not what you expect. It's an elderly woman. She's 88 years old. Her name is Maud, and she is kind of gruff and cranky, and little things kind of annoy her, but you're not at all expecting her to be very comfortable with a little murder. And so it's funny, it's dark comedy, but it's only 178 pages, so it's a quick read or a quick listen. And I think there's a couple of follow-up books, because I think it started as a group of short stories. And nobody kind of suspects her, but there's a detective's like, something's not right with her, and it's kind of funny, and all of the people that died deserve it, so you don't even have to feel bad about the people that are killed. And we already talked about Before the Coffee Goes Cold. That was great. I'm just trying to see if there's anything. The Paris Apartment by Lucy Foley was really a good little thriller. That was a bestseller, so I'm sure a lot of readers have read that already. And I did most of the Louise Penny series, the Chief Inspector Armand Gamache series, which is older. There's 15 in the series. My sister told me about it. I actually wasn't even that familiar with it, and she's like, how could you have not read this or listened to this? I listened to the whole thing. So those are really perfect example of a cozy mystery, and takes place in Canada in a small little the locale is a little town called Three Pines. So now it's actually a series now on Amazon Prime called Three Pines. I will say, I don't know if you've watched it yet. You read those books, right, Peter? The Louise Penny, probably a while ago.
a couple of them. I'm not sure if they're from that.
Yeah, so the series is not the best interpretation, unfortunately, of the series. But it's a fun little book, and if you're looking for getting into cozy mysteries, it's a good for. So my first cozy mysteries, where I just remember this, what was that series? It takes place, I think, in Africa.
Number One
Ladies Detective Agency was kind of my first hook into reading, and that's another great series that
Alexander McCall Smith.
Yes, right. Another great series of that.
It's funny. I haven't read what is it called? The old lady one that you mentioned.
Oh yeah.
But I had it written down in context of what we're going to talk about with the Thursday Murder Club.
Yeah. I think that's why it came up in my recommendations because everybody's listening through your phone. So like, how about this book? And I was like, oh, this is really good. And everybody that I know that read it when they saw it on, might be like, oh, let me try it. They're like, oh my God, this book is kind of creepy, but really funny, good book.
I actually have one other that I forgot.
Okay.
I was going to mention that I don't want to. It's a book called Popisho, Popisho, by Leona Ross. And it's a kind of a magical realism book. But it takes I read a lot of fantasy books too. And like Jen was saying earlier, sometimes you want to switch things up a little bit. And so sometimes I force myself to read something else. But another thing I've been doing, just like with the Three Body Problem, is I try to read books that are in genres I like that are written from perspectives I'm not familiar with. And this is written by, she's British, but she's Afro-Caribbean descent, and it's kind of your classic fantasy trope of magical powers being discovered, like Harry Potter, where somebody has emerging magical gifts, but it's set in the Caribbean, and the magic is kind of based on Afro-Caribbean mythology instead of like your kind of more medieval sort of
what we're kind of used to
so
been saturated
really
with, right?
Vivid, like really great book that takes something familiar and recontextualize it in a really
interesting,
fantastic way.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Sounds so good.
Okay, those books all sound great. Our listeners should all go check them out. And let's take a quick break, and when we come back, let's talk mystery. Okay,
let's do it.
Okay, we're back. Let's talk mysteries. What's everyone's introduction to mystery? What got you into mystery? What were the first mystery books you remember reading? I can go first.
You go ahead. You go first. I'm interested to hear.
So, I was explaining this to Peter earlier. Mystery is not a genre I read a lot of, actually. But I was doing some research for this episode, and it occurred to me that the first books I ever read were mysteries. Mm-hmm. Or the first books that were ever read to me, actually, were mysteries. When I was a wee one, my father would he wouldn't read children's books to me, as my bedtime books. He would read The Adventures of Tintin. Do you know the Tintin?
Yes,
okay.
Of course.
So Tintin is huge in Europe, so many Americans probably aren't familiar with him, but basically he's kind of like a kid detective. His age is kind of ambiguous, but he's like a kid reporter detective. And they're graphic novels. They're short. They're about 30, 40 pages each. They were actually written in the 20s. 1929 was the first issue book came out by a Belgian artist, Hergé. And so he would read these to me, and it would go over my head, but the artwork was vivid. I love the artwork. It's influenced my own art. It's my favorite artwork. But every book is a short little mystery that wraps itself up by the end. Each book is usually set in a different country and has a different theme around it. So there's one in America, there's one in China, there's one in Germany, and they're just fun little adventures. They're kind of like Indiana Jones meets like a detective story, basically. And they have silly side characters, and it's fun. It's appropriate for kids. But anyways, that's how I got started. I have all the books now, and I reread them occasionally, but that's kind of how I got started.
It's funny. I knew about Tintin, but I didn't even know that he was solving mysteries. I just knew it was like a little boy with a dog. Right?
Yep, he's got a little dog, Snowy.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I got started, and then I didn't really read any mysteries for a long, long time after that. And then my dad's favorite author is Thomas Pynchon, who alternates between these big, dense historical fiction novels and more modern kind of mystery novels, detective novels, noirish novels. So this didn't even occur to me until I was starting to research for this episode. But those are mystery novels. I consider them mystery novels. So his noirish detective novels are The Crying of Lot 49, Vineland, Inherent Vice, and Bleeding Edge. And I love all of them. They're all 5-star reads for me. But they're not like your traditional detective stories where they all have like a nice, ending where everything wraps itself up in the end. There's not a parlor scene at the end where they say it was the butler and here's why, and all these red herrings all
somebody
are exposed.
Confesses every
Exactly.
detail of the crime to Jessica Fletcher.
Yeah.
Which is good too.
Yeah.
Just different.
So these are more postmodern. I'm using air quotes right now. They're like the classic postmodern novels where basically the more the protagonist uncovers, the more questions come up. And it's basically just about how complex the world is and everything's interconnected. And basically, as you try to apply reason and logic to try to solve a mystery, all you're really doing is just creating more conspiracy theories. You're just connecting loose dots. And that's kind of more what the book's about than the actual mystery at the core of the book. So I love all of his books. I can't recommend them highly enough. So that's, in terms of books, that's pretty much it. I mean, there's, little mysteries here and there in every book, but those are the mystery books, I guess, I've read.
So for me, I grew up, I was a kid in the 1970s. So, you had we were still reading Nancy Drew and the Hardy Boys and Encyclopedia Brown. What was the other one I wrote? Nate the Great. But there was this one book, and so I'm asking all the librarians who are listening to help me find the name of this book. I believe it was an early reader, because it was one of the first books that I remember finishing by myself. And so it was kind of hardcover, small. The guy was probably second grade, right? I think that's when we started to read that. Now kids read when they're 4, but we were like second grade when we started reading. And it was a detective, and he was solving a mystery. I think he was a human. I think he was human. And I still remember the solve. So there was an elephant, I think it was in a room, and he was tied up or something, and there was only one way out. And it was that when they came in, all they found was a pool of water. And like, how did he get out of the room? Does this sound familiar to you? And it was ice. Was that he climbed up out of the ice or something?
That's like an old logic puzzle.
It's an old logic puzzle, but it was written in this kid's book. And it might not even been an elephant, but I have been searching for this book in my mind. And if I could actually find it, I would probably buy it and put it in my own personal collection. Because that was the first time, when you're a little kid, you're not that logical. So I was like, oh my gosh. It was the ice. Like, it never even occurred to me. So that was the first time that I was like excited about a mystery, and I was just a little kid. So that was my first memories of reading mystery. How about you, Peter?
I like Alex. I never was a big mystery reader. I still only read mysteries occasionally, but my grandma, she was always reading mysteries. She always reading Agatha Christie books.
Right.
And I'm sure I read some of the Encyclopedia Browns and that sort of thing growing up. But for me, it was more of a TV thing. My mom would watch, like Dateline and like all the kind of more true stories of crimes. And that's really what got me interested in mysteries. And that's still true. Like I'm a huge fan of mystery movies and TV shows, and I'm a small fan of mystery novels.
Yes. So I would have to say that that's true for me too now. I do read mystery books still to this day, but Peter and I are always trading ideas for TV shows that we've watched. Have you seen this? Do you have this streaming service? So we're obsessed, I would say, would be an accurate description of both of us in the genre of mystery. And sometimes we do talk about true crime stuff, but we're more into the really the British mystery genre.
Yeah.
That was a good segue,
Which
right?
is a subset of like mystery in general. Like the British mystery is a very unique
yes.
It has unique attributes to it. It's cozy, witty, banter probably is sprinkled in there.
You were kind of when we talked about doing this podcast, you were saying like what makes this a thing, right? So why is it interesting? And I really thought about it, and the first thing that I thought of was that there's a lot less violence. That's not true across the board. We've watched shows with plenty of gore, more gritty, but overall, it's for me, it's like the restraint. They're very polite to one another. Just more humanity in it, and in its presentation, and also the locations are. So I started watching. One of the first series was Vera. That so it takes place in Newcastle, which is southern part of northeast coast. So my grandmother was born in Newcastle, my mother's mother. So I was like, oh, this is cool. I can kind of see. I've never been there. What it looks like there. So and then I was like, wow, I'm on season 9 now of Vera. But just to see the landscape is kind of how I started watching that, and then I was hooked into the stories. So yeah, I don't know if Peter has any thoughts about what makes them unique.
For me, I think I've always been kind of an Anglophile. When I was a kid, I started reading like Lion and Witch in the Wardrobe. I was always interested, and then in middle school and high school, I got into British music. So for me, it gives me that extra in. I mean, I like to watch an American mystery show too, but for me, it's the same. Something about the setting. I'm interested in the culture. It's like it's a little different. Even with the police, they don't have guns and stuff. They're going to interview a murder suspect, and they're it's just like a different perspective.
It's all very civilized.
I'm sure it's like an illusion too, because they have their problems just like everywhere else. But there's something about it that does feel a little more, I don't know, comforting in some weird way. Even the ones that aren't cozy mysteries.
There's like a safety net. It'll never get so dark where you're like, wow.
Yeah,
like,
and there are series. Sorry, I didn't mean to speak over you. But there are series that do go really dark. Like, what was the one with Ruth Wilson? Luther? Gets pretty dark. Mm-hmm. Totally recommend it because Idris I don't need to say anything else about that. But it does get kind of dark. So these were the 4 things that I wrote down. Things I learned watching British mystery shows. Keep the subtitles on, or you will miss something vital. And that is my number one thing that I wrote down. And I also now just watch subtitles. I never realized how much I was missing, just in general, of TV. And I have very perfectly good hearing, but really, it also makes me keep the phone down, and I kind of can. So that's my recommendation. The second thing I wrote is that you will notice that you will recognize at least one actor from another British series. Peter and I refer to this often. We're saying that there's a very finite amount of British actors, apparently, I guess, and they just keep circling.
Because they all live in Hollywood.
Yeah, but they were even in the shows. You're like, oh, in this one he was the serial killer. In this one he's chief inspector, of London. And
that must get confusing.
Yeah, but it is kind of interesting to see the range. The third thing I wrote was, and Peter already referred to this: guns are not necessary to tell a good crime story. So handguns are rarely seen in the picture. Sometimes you'll see assault, if they're doing like a raid, but overall they don't carry guns. And my fourth thing, closed circuit television surveillance is apparently everywhere in Britain.
Yeah, they have it everywhere, which is kind of scary, Big Brother. But
yeah, so I don't even know if it's true.
Solve crimes. It is true. They have like CCTV, as they call it, everywhere in England.
Yeah, so they're always running back, like, well, check the CCTV. It's always somebody's job on the episode to get. And it always usually leads to, some important clue. So those are the 4 things that I've noticed. And then I'm just going to say one more thing. So that's what I wrote down. And then I kind of looked it up. I was like, I want to see if anybody else is talking about this. And I did find an article in The Atlantic from 2020 by Christopher Orr. And I'm quoting him, he said, when you take away the guns and the shootings, you have more time to explore grief, guilt, and the psychological complexity of crime. So I thought it was pretty profound. And his 4 points is that these series generally, and we're speaking in generalities, have a more leisurely pace. Often women are the principal investigator, which I did not think about until it's true. Which is great. The locale, which was already mentioned, because the locale and the connection to community are always play an important character in the story as well. So it's usually just as important as what's happening is where it's happening. And then finally, this is his words, who isn't hungry for a more humane depiction of law enforcement? So take that for what it's worth.
Yeah, it's interesting because one of those things you mentioned I hadn't really thought of, which is what I think draws me to it, is because like when I read, I know I'm very drawn to characters more than plot. And it's weird that I like mysteries because they're very plot driven, but I think that's what makes them interesting. It's more focuses on the relationships more maybe than like a CSI kind of show in America.
And the shows that we wind up, Peter and I, that we both agree on that we love are usually amazingly fleshed out characters, because the story almost becomes secondary to the characters. It all works together. But I'm also a character-driven person when I really, like, that's why I go back to the beginning of the podcast when I recommended Demon Copperhead. It's just all about the character tells the story in so many ways. So that is also really important. So it's a good point, Peter.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I wonder if has anything to do with the fact that maybe the BBC, because it has fewer channels, maybe they feel less pressure to be more like titillating and have like gore or things like that to try to pull viewers away.
I don't know, but I also, and this is probably made up in my own head, this fantasy that like, well, I know for sure that the Line of Duty, right, is a massively huge hit in the UK. And I envisioned when it was airing for the first time that like everybody in the country was watching it. Everybody was making their popcorn on the same night, watching in Line of Duty and talking about it at the water cooler the next day. We don't have that experience so much anymore because everybody's, and I'm, guilty of binge everything. And then we talk about it when it's through. Mm-hmm. So it's almost agonizing for us to do this once a week episodic type of situation. But I always kind of envision these stories being put out like that. And there's, again, something about sense of community. I don't know.
I was going to say too, Alex, so you talked about before the podcast, talking about the kind of mystery renaissance that's going on right now. There's so many new mystery shows, movies, and why that might be. And it kind of ties into some of what Jen was saying, that I find that there's something comforting about a procedural where the crime's getting solved. They always find the murderer, and it's like, crime's going up a lot all over the country. The world is crazy and is making less sense. There's something about the, either at the end of the episode or the end of the season, there are exceptions. There's an answer. They catch the person. And I also, some of them we've talked about, I don't want to say yet because they might be ones you want to talk about. It's comforting to see police detectives who care.
Yes.
And, you never know. I don't know any real police detectives, but it's like, it's comforting to see somebody doing this important job that is really doing their best job and really cares about the people affected.
And even the more recent shows that have been coming out, it dives into that even more about the psychological effect on law enforcement, on these detectives, and how that affects their life in their personal. And I know one show that we're going to talk about in a minute, which really dives into that. But I think that you're also right. There is something comforting about whether it's at the end of the episode or the end of the series, you kind of have come full, whether you're sad or heartbroken or joyful, it's kind of all wrapped up. And so what's the number one podcast right now in this genre? It's like Criminal or something.
Serial was the biggest for a long time.
Yeah, but this
not
is
so much anymore.
I think it's Criminal. I could be wrong on that. Where she talks about unsolved cases, and they're unsolved cases.
My Favorite Murder?
No, it's not that. I started listening to it. I'm like, oh, this is super popular. I'll probably like this. And I do like true crime as well. But it's all unresolved, and I can only listen to like one or two at it because I'm like, oh, they're really sad and they're really, really difficult to hear that these are just almost papers in a box. Like nobody's ever going to solve these mysteries. So
yeah, it's the opposite of these mystery shows when you realize how many unsolved crimes there are out there.
Right. So it's good escapism. Right.
Yeah, it's great escapism. And when I was talking about before we started recording, I was talking about how there's kind of like a mystery renaissance going on right now. I was more referring to like Hollywood. You know, there's a big movie mystery renaissance happening right now. And I was kind of curious. I wanted to know what your thoughts are on sort of why this is. I have my own thoughts that I'll share right now and see if you agree with me. So I think this all started a few years ago. Knives Out was a huge smash success. You know, before that, there was the Serial podcast that I mentioned. So murder was already starting to bubble up to the surface. You know, there was some popularity growing right there. But just in the last year, we have The Only Murderers in the Building. Mm-hmm. We have the Knives Out sequel, Enola Holmes and the Enola Holmes sequel, See Them Run, Death on the Nile, which is a sequel to another movie that came out just 2 years ago, Vengeance, The Pale Blue Eye, and Bullet Train.
Yeah.
So those are all AAA Hollywood titles that are all doing very, very well in the box office. Some of them have gotten some Oscar nominations. And so it's obviously in the zeitgeist right now.
Yeah.
Mysteries. Especially these classic mysteries where there is a kind of a parlor scene at the end.
Sure. Or like the Clue game come to the screen.
Classic Agatha Christie.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And speaking of Agatha Christie, See Them Run, Agatha Christie is actually a character in the movie, and it's all set around an Agatha Christie adaptation of a play.
Oh, that's interesting.
So it's really ingrained, intertwined in all of these.
It's multi-layered.
So I have some thoughts on why this is happening. The first is Knives Out was a success and everyone's just chasing the next big hit. But you already mentioned this earlier, you know, it has a nice, neat wrap-up at the end. So with mysteries, there's almost, you know, the serialized nature is almost ingrained in mysteries. You know, every mystery book or show, the big reveal is why people still keep coming back to it, right? It's you know. But because of that, it sets itself up for sequels with movies. So if you have one success, you can just keep churning these out, and you're seeing that with Knives Out. I think they already have 5 planned or 4 planned or something. Yeah, you're going to see a new Knives Out movie every 2 years.
I'm okay with that.
Right. The other thing is these movies lend themselves to big A-list ensemble casts, which brings in a lot of viewers. You know, even if you don't like half of the people in the movie, odds are one of the characters you'll go see it because that actor's in it. So that's another reason they're attractive. They'll make the studios money. Yeah, so and you already mentioned, you know, murder mysteries are the perfect balm for a chaotic world. That was the last note I had here. So, you know, the world's been crazy for the last many years. And, you know, if you go see Knives Out, it's going to be crazy for a little while, but everything's going to wrap up in a nice, neat bow at the end, and you'll feel smarter for having watched it. So I'm just curious, do you have any thoughts you want to add on that? Like why it's kind of in the zeitgeist right now?
Yeah, I think it might also be partially like a generational thing for people who are maybe more our age than Alex's age, having grown up on that sort of thing. Like I grew up watching a lot of mystery movies like that, and there's like, you know, the Columbos and the Perry Masons and the Murder, She Wrotes. I kind of wonder if maybe it's just, you know, you see that a lot with trends in music where the 90s are coming back because people who were getting into music in the 90s have kids now, you know. It's that sort of thing where our parents were watching these things and now we're the adults making movies.
Yeah.
So it might be part of that, partly something to do with that. Because it was a big part of my childhood watching those sort of movies and TV shows too.
And I think you said something about sequels. So I know you're a big movie fan, and I love movies too. Pre-pandemic, I went to the movies quite often by myself, preferably by myself. And then we really started getting into the binge watching, right? And now I get like kind of sad to watch a movie because I'm like, I want to know everything that's going to happen after, everything that happened before, unless it's like a real quality movie. So I think obviously it comes down to dollars with movies. They see, you know, a big name, or they got the hook, like the Glass Onion, which is the second one, right? Knives Out. They'll keep making those. I did happen to just watch Vengeance the other night, and I watched it because B.J. Novak, I think he wrote it too. Mm-hmm. So it was good. It was not what I expected.
Yeah, I thought,
did you see it yet, Peter?
No.
Ashton Kutcher is in it, and surprisingly great acting, I thought, from him. I enjoyed his character. That show combines the whole mystery thing along with podcasting, which is interesting. And I'm watching another show right now on I think it's Apple TV, Truth Be Told with Octavia Spencer. And she's a podcaster who's solving mysteries through her podcast. So I just started, I'm on season 2. So that's also, it's a pretty good show. But I like the modern take of the mystery solving and then putting in the old-fashioned type of mystery solvers combined with some more modern technology like podcasting and stuff. So I thought that was an interesting little hook because everybody's into podcasting, and so they kind of, again, jumped on it. So those are 2 examples just recently that I've watched that kind of tie it in together. So yeah, I think it's just, I don't really know why that we're all get into this. It's sort of, you can go back to why were we all into Harry Potter, or why were we all into anything that was just sort of like pop culture at the moment. This feels like going home a little bit to me. It feels really comfortable and like...
That's why I thought maybe it is a nostalgia thing for a
Yeah,
certain
I
generation.
didn't think of it that way, but I think you might be right. It does feel, going back to that book that I can't remember the name of.
Hollywood does love nostalgia, so...
Yeah.
They do. They do.
All right. I just wanted to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah.
So we've been kind of dancing around this the entire episode. And speaking of Hollywood adaptations, so The Thursday Murder Club.
Yes.
Extremely popular book, which I only just read last week in preparation for this episode.
Did you
I crammed
like
it? I loved it. I
Oh,
loved
you
it.
did? Whew.
Yeah.
I didn't know which way was going to fall for you.
No, I really
It's
loved
so
it.
good,
I loved it.
isn't
And everything we've talked about in this episode about, all the tropes of British mysteries and cozy mysteries, they're all in this book. So if you like a nice cozy mystery with some witty banter and good character building, I thought this is a great book for you.
And it's funny.
It's funny, yeah.
It's funny. And talking about character, the whole series is based on these characters. And the author, if you do the audio versions, did you read it or did you listen? So he does little interviews at the end of the books. And he's really funny. He's a talk show host
Richard
He's on a game show and
game show.
Pointless.
Right, that's right. So he talks about that, and he answers kind of readers' questions like, "Are these characters? What's your plan?" And he's like, "I'm keeping these characters alive for as long as you'll keep reading these books." So that was like thrilling because they are older.
Yeah, we should say what the book is, what it's actually about, or a
yeah.
brief synopsis of it. I don't want to spoil anything because I know there's still a 6-week wait on this book if you want to check it out at the library. So
Right. So there's 3 in the series. I did print out, this is actually from, I don't know, Amazon or the library catalog or something. So this just sort of is just a little, what the book is about. So in a peaceful retirement village, 4 unlikely friends meet up once a week to investigate unsolved murders. But when a brutal killing takes place on their very doorstep, the Thursday Murder Club find themselves in the middle of their first live case. Elizabeth, Joyce, Ibrahim, and Ron might be pushing 80, but they still have a few tricks up their sleeves. Can our unorthodox but brilliant gang catch the killer before it's too late? So this is the synopsis of they can, and they can do it well. So yeah, it's 4 friends, and what the author, I heard him speak when he was speaking about the book. The question was, how did you decide on this retirement community setting? He said, well, he knew he wanted to do some this age group, just solving crimes, and he was trying to figure out how he could bring together people with different skill sets and different life experiences. And he says, if you go to a Knights of Columbus, I'm paraphrasing, I don't know if this is exactly what he said, or if you go to the golf club, all those people are there because they have the commonality of golf, or the tennis club. And he wanted people to be really different for these characters. So that's how we settled on the retirement home, because you can find literally your neighbor could be somebody you would never think that you were living next door. So that's how we kind of landed on that. And they're just like the best friends. And I just want them all in my life.
Yeah. I think for me, part of the appeal of the book, too, as getting older, and I do the book discussion here at the library, and a lot of the people in the group are older, and we read it for the book discussion. That's how I first read the first book. And there's something about being an older person and making friends, because it's like it gets harder to do, and there's something, again, comforting about like these people who move into this retirement village and late in life are making good friends.
Yeah. Good friends
Yeah.
and living life. It's not, it's a very hopeful environment. And, there's a touch of sadness here and there where they're not unrealistic about where they're living. But just seeing the friendships, how they make each other better people. And just, I'm really kind of jealous of their life. I think they're just like, I want to be in that club on Thursdays solving these unsolved crimes. Because they're really smart and they really know. It's like, people, it's a throwaway generation, people who are over a certain age. And I think younger people, as we get older, we realize, younger people think that we don't maybe know as much, or that people older than me, like my dad's is 92. But your wisdom just keeps on going, and it just sort of encapsulates that, like how smart and how brilliant they are, and hilarious.
Yeah, I wanted to say, I was going to say how funny it is, because it's not like the characters aren't aware that they're 70 and 80 years old.
Yeah.
They use it to their advantage.
Yeah.
So, they're kind of playing like a judo with all the people around them, where people are assuming, they're feeble or they don't quite have all the marbles,
Right.
And they use that to their advantage to kind of get to places they shouldn't be and get information they shouldn't have, which I thought was hilarious the way Richard Osman writes it. They don't.
He says that he sometimes actually thinks in Joyce's voice, who is essentially the narrator, right, Joyce? Yeah. And he says sometimes he'll hear, and they're like, he has inspiration from his mom, his grandparents, like he has all these different women that kind of created Joyce. But he's like, she is alive, living, all of them are. And each character, and not just the four, there's the secondary characters like Donna and Chris
Hudson
is her partner, right? So all of these are like literally, so just the writing process alone, it was so interesting to hear that he sits down, and a lot of writers will tell you a million different ways their process. And he's like, I just sit down and I just write. From beginning to end. He doesn't do an outline. He just lets the story happen. He says, I kind of have an idea, but I let the characters tell me what they're going to do. And he just sits and he just writes for 2 hours a day. And then he goes and does his game show. And then he'll come back to the writing. And I just kind of love that too about him, that he made it, it's not simple, but he made it that even that's enjoyable, the writing part for him.
Yeah, it is a very breezy read, I will say. It's I don't know, 300 pages or something, but it didn't feel long at all.
It's a very quick read.
Yeah.
It's very quick because it's mostly dialogue too. It's a very breezy read.
In the third book that is the most recent, I had reserved it as soon as I could on Libby on the downloadable app, and I was listening to every chapter twice because I just did not want the book to be over, because I just love them being in the car with me and just like hearing them. And
I wish I had listened to it on audiobook, actually. Because
the next one, do number 2.
I think I might.
Yeah.
I feel like it was written as a screenplay. The whole time I'm reading it, I'm thinking this would be better as a show.
Yeah.
Not that I didn't enjoy the book or his writing, but I'm reading it and I'm thinking he's writing like he's a screenplay writer.
Like he's seeing it up on the screen.
He's writing it exactly. And I'm glad. Well, I already spoiled it, but it's going to be adapted into a film.
Yes.
By Steven Spielberg's production company.
Really? Yeah. Oh, do you know that? Yes, Spielberg. Right.
Great.
I was a little bit. Not that I don't love movies, but I was kind of hoping for a series.
Me too.
I know that's a lot of a commitment, because the actors are older, and how many seasons could you really maybe? It would be a little bit. So it is going to be a movie.
I think I agree. I think it would be better as a series.
Yeah, because I want to know everything about these characters. I don't know if they could fit it all.
I don't know how they're going to fit this whole book into one movie. Yeah.
Yeah. So we talked a little bit about. I've talked about it with you. I think my Dreamcast. Did you put your Dreamcast people in?
A couple of them.
Okay, so let me hear.
I want you to say first to see if we.
You want me to go first?
Yeah.
Okay. So for Elizabeth, who is the. She's the self-proclaimed smartest one of the group and the most, I guess, experienced in solving crimes. I'll just say that. So I had Helen Mirren.
Me too.
All right. So she's the winner. For Joyce, I had Julie Waters. Do you know who that is? She's in a lot of British stuff. And I just think, because Joyce is so sweet, but she's also cunning. and but she knows how to play it. So I thought Julie Waters. For Ibrahim, I had Ben Kingsley, and for Ron, I had either Tom Wilkinson or Bill Nighy. Nighy, is that how you say his name?
Oh yeah.
You know, the real tall.
He just got nominated for an Oscar.
Yes,
Bill Nighy.
Bill Nighy, who is my husband's favorite actor. And he's in like a million things. Like, oh, there he is again.
He's probably best known for Love Actually. He's like he's the rocker who has to sing the Christmas song.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. So who did you have?
Yeah, had Helen Mirren. This is the other one. I know she's such a great actress. She's a little younger, but you know they can put some makeup on it. She would do. I saw Joyce as Olivia Colman.
Oh,
but they'd have to age her.
Which
would be a thing. But I just like Joyce, I could just see her giving such heart to the role, you know, because she's so good at doing that. But
I actually think that's a brilliant idea for her.
Probably won't happen because she's not.
Yeah, really but you're right. A little bit of makeup, so she would be good for the series because she's going to be around for longer than these other actors. So yeah, so we love this series and we're excited for the movie. We'd love it to be an actual series. And then there's some other series that I would be happy to talk about that we're...
Yeah.
Is that okay?
I'm just seeing if I had any more notes on Thursday Murder Club.
Or Peter, I didn't know if you did.
Oh, yeah. I brought it up earlier. So when you were talking about the little old lady who broke the rules, I see this as part of... There's kind of a new subgenre of book that's like old Swedish people doing stuff you don't expect older people to do. Right. And that's what I wrote down. I haven't read that, but I did read there's the 100-Year-Old Man. There's a few books that you know fill in the blank. Yeah. That's that, and then there's Man Called Ove too. Yeah. Sort of that. Yeah. That genre.
Who is that's Swedish, right?
Yeah.
So there is a movie, a Swedish a version of A Man Called Ove. But now it's going to be called A Man Called Otto. I'm sure it'll be great. Tom Hanks is great, but still, we always have to change everything because we're Americans. Did you have any other notes about Alex?
No. I just, I don't read very many mysteries, as I was saying before, but I thought this is, if you are interested in mysteries, we talked about, are you interested in sci-fi? I think this is a great jumping on point for mystery.
Agreed.
Definitely.
It's an easy read. It's fun, but it has all the tropes of a good mystery. The twist is pretty good. There's actually a couple of murders that take place, not to get too far ahead, but it's something you'll be thinking about in between chapters, and you won't want to put the book down, that's for sure. And one final thing I'll say, I definitely recommend maybe the audiobook if you are an audiobook person. It's probably the better way to go, honestly. Do they do different actors, or is it one narrator reading the whole book?
It's one narrator, but she's pretty skilled. I think the third book is actually a different narrator, but it still nails it. Puts on the different voices. Mm-hmm. Same person, though.
Right.
It's not different people reading the different parts.
Yeah. This would be good as an audio play I'd love to listen to.
Yeah, right. I've thought of that, too.
With each character.
With each character doing it. It's I think it's one of the best audiobooks. Maybe that's part of the reason I loved it, too, just because a narrator can ruin an audiobook for you or make it for you, and this definitely is.
Yeah, and our listeners to this podcast, we talk about it almost every episode, how the benefits of audiobooks and what makes a good audiobook. So we're all fans of audiobooks here, so
good.
get the Libby app.
I love that.
Everybody.
Get the Libby app. Free through your library.
So are there any other, you said you had another show you wanted to mention?
I have like 3 shows, but what shows did you have listed there, Peter?
Well, I have a couple of things, but they're not all British. So the last one that I watched, besides one I think you're going to mention,
talk about,
that's a British series. It's called London Kills, and it's not a cozy mystery. It's a little bit more gritty, and it's set in London. It's like a straightforward police procedural. Gets in a little bit to the personal life of the detectives that kind of ends up being part of the investigation, but it's just, a really well-written, well-acted police procedural. I should have written down what it's available on, but,
Google it.
It's available on something or other. I think it is maybe Amazon. I'm not sure.
I don't think I've seen this one.
It has, I don't think any of the actors are.
Well, they're all in the other British shows.
They're not any really familiar names in it, but it's really good.
Just their faces are familiar.
And, kind of along the lines of the Knives Out conversation we were going to have, there's a movie I want to recommend too that I just saw a couple of weeks ago, but it came out in, I think, 1979, and it's called The Last of Sheila, and it was written by the screenwriters were Stephen Sondheim of Broadway fame
Mm-hmm.
and Anthony Perkins from
Really?
Psycho. And it's the classic, like, Agatha Christie style murder mystery. It's a movie producer invites all these people on a yacht to play like a murder mystery game, and of course,
Somebody dies.
murders actually happen, and
Okay.
it's really fun, really good, and it has. If you're from, if you grew up in the 70s, 80s, it has, a lot of the older, it's got Diane Cannon in it, and Raquel Welch, and James Coburn. It's really fun.
Look at you pulling this one up from the archives.
Yeah.
I love that.
Check it out.
I have that written down. So I wrote down 2, series 3. The third one I'm going to save for last because I know it's something that Peter and I have both watched recently. Happy Valley, which is 3 seasons. The newest season is finally out, but it's not here in America yet. It's currently being shown in the UK. And it stars Sarah Lancashire. So she's in a lot of British. She's an amazing actress. It takes place in West Yorkshire. And she's a police sergeant who loses her daughter to suicide. And she's raising her grandson, who was a product of rape. So it's kind of heavy. And then it's much more of a gritty drama, but really, really well done. So then her daughter's attacker is released from jail, and she kind of becomes obsessed with him. And then there's a kidnapping, and it's sort of her solving. And it goes over, now it's in its 3rd season. So I originally had watched that on Netflix, but when I double checked last night, it's not on Netflix. You can purchase it on Amazon Prime, maybe through PBS or something you might be able to, but I definitely highly recommend it.
I'm watching it right now, actually.
Yeah, it's really good. She's just so good in everything. She was in Last Tango in Halifax, which is not a murder mystery, but an amazing, wonderful, feel-good British family drama that I love that show so much. So the other one is called Unbelievable, and it has Toni Collette in it, and it's a 1 season on Netflix. So, and you can still get it on Netflix, and it's based on a Pulitzer Prize winning article from 2015 called The Unbelievable Story of Rape. I just realized that these are both like super heavy, and I apologize if this is triggering anybody. I really do apologize, but it's really, Toni Collette is one of my favorite actresses. I mean, everything she does, even The Staircase, which if you haven't seen that yet on HBO, also followed that case, The Staircase. I was a big fan of that whole situation. She's great. She plays a detective along with Merritt Weaver, who was in Nurse Jackie, right? She's also another great actress. And so just check that one out. That's called Unbelievable. And then the third one is one I know Peter has watched. I don't know if you finished, or if you're all caught up. I recommended this to Peter a few weeks ago, and he immediately came to my office after. He's like, I love it. It's called Unforgotten. You can get it on Prime and maybe PBS. I think it did air.
I watched it on PBS.
On PBS, right?
Yeah.
So you have the PBS
I watched
Passport
it
or something.
WLIW.
Yeah. So it's Nicola Walker, who's also in Last Tango from Halifax. So like we said, they're all the same actors. Many police shows. And she plays DCI Cassie Stewart. And Sanjeev Bhaskar is DI Sunny Khan. So the premise of the show is they solve cold cases,
yeah.
that something will happen. And then you want to talk a little bit about it?
Yeah, I mean, for me, like I watched the first season after Jenn recommended it, and like she says, it's like, it usually starts where they find an old body, basically, and then somehow they figure out that it's from a certain era, and that
usually at least 20 years ago.
It's always like it has to be, if it's older than like 60 years,
yeah.
they can't do anything because there's not going to be records. But the actress Nicola Walker, she just, like, we talked about how comforting it is to see police detectives caring about their job. She just, like, the first season, I don't usually cry in crime dramas, but I was crying because she's just, like, she cares so much about the victims, and she's, like, so sensitive, and it's good in, like, a procedural way solving the case, and it's just got, like, a lot of heart and makes you want to believe that
there's good in the world.
That's what the people doing this are
and it's not I 100% agree, Peter, and it's not the normal or the traditional format in the sense that they'll have seemingly unrelated characters. This is like the very beginning of a season the story is the whole arc of the season. It's not like episodic, like you solve a crime. And they'll introduce these people you can't figure out how are you going to relate these people back to the crime. So it'll be like 3 or 4 different, kind of flashing to these different stories. And then ultimately it all ties together and it helps solve. But it's not just about solving the crime. It's about the devastation of the crime and what murder can have on families and the long-term effects of being, whether you were one of the people who committed it or somebody who is a family member or a loved one. So it kind of deep dive into that. But you also get to see the Cassie's character and Sonny. You get to kind of learn about their private lives and their families and how being a detective is so all-consuming and how that brings it home. I think it's kind of, I don't know, I'm not a detective, but it feels very real, and I did cry at the show too. But highly recommend. There's 4 seasons streaming right now on Prime. I'm sorry, I wish these were all in one place, but you have to hunt around for them. And they're going to be coming back with a 5th season. I think they're filming now, you heard, Peter? So
very good. I wanted to say, too, the one you recommended before with...
Unbelievable?
Unbelievable is... I recommend that one, too. I'd forgotten about that, and that's based on a true... That's based on a true story. Story of real police detectives who were that kind of detective.
That did not give up.
That didn't give up and, really cared about what they were doing, and really highly recommend that one, too.
Yeah, right. That's one season. I don't think there'll be a sequel to that, but I wish there would be because I thought they were brilliant. And I made a list of series that I have watched over the years that I love, so I'm going to give those to you. You can put them up.
Okay, I'll put them in the show notes.
Sure. Some more I can add to.
And then, so we'll give them both, and it'll be Peter's and Jen's
show
list.
Notes, yes, for a comprehensive list of mysteries.
Comprehensive notes of...
So I put up in our staff break room on the chalkboard a question, what are your favorite mysteries? So these are some of the responses I've gotten from other staff. Clue, the movie Clue, which we talked about a little bit earlier. Classic. Tim Curry is the best in that.
Madeline Kahn. You can move on without mentioning Madeline Kahn.
Yep.
Only Murders in the Building, the TV show with Steve Martin and Martin Short.
And Selena Gomez.
Yep.
So good.
Good show.
And I think, there's somebody coming on to that show.
Meryl Streep's going to be on there.
Meryl Streep and Paul Rudd. Paul Rudd, yeah.
Great show. Very fun. And a couple of movies that were on the wall. Memento, Mystic River, Brick, Silence of the Lambs. And I'll add one more, my favorite, Rear Window. Alfred Hitchcock.
Yes.
That's a great one.
One of my all-time favorites. So those are some of the staff picks that I wanted
they're
to
all
mention.
over the place. Really different types of mystery, a mystery world.
Yeah. I only have one more mystery I wanted to mention before we wrap up. Is there any other shows you wanted to mention, or
we
just
could
check
go on
the comprehensive
we can
list?
do a whole other episode of our list.
We're already over an hour, so
lots of them, but
I couldn't let an episode go by without mentioning a video game. So one of my all-time favorite games ever, one of my favorite pieces of art ever, is a game called Disco Elysium. Now, this game is on a bunch of best game ever lists out there if you look it up. It won a bunch of Game of the Year awards when it came out. It won a BAFTA for its acting.
Okay.
For its voice acting.
We understand that language.
Yeah.
We know BAFTA.
So basically, the game, you wake up naked in a ratty hotel room.
Okay.
And you have total amnesia, right? And you come to find out that you are a detective sent to this island in this land called Elysium, and you're sent there to investigate a murder. And basically the game unfolds where you slowly start to learn about who you are, right? So you try to create your own identity, and you're trying to solve this murder at the same time. It's based off a novel by an author from Estonia. The book was called Sacred and Terrible Air. It came out in 2013. It hasn't been translated to English yet.
Oh, that's too bad.
The day it does, I'm ordering it for the library. I'm buying a second copy for myself.
And you'll
I'm
tell
telling
us.
everyone.
Okay.
Because I need to read this book. So it's one of my all-time favorite experiences. The story is brilliant. It has so many layers. I can't even begin to... It's so hard to explain because it's trippy.
Yeah.
But basically, one of the gimmicks of the game is you have... A lot of the dialogue is in your own head, in the main character's head. So the actor who won the BAFTA for voice acting is your internal monologue. And your personality in the game kind of comprises how good you are at certain things. So you might have mental acuity might be a statistic, and that has its own voice in your head. Or your aggressiveness or your like addictive personality has its own personality. And there's 24 different kind of psyches that all are competing for your headspace, and you can have conversations with all of them.
Wow.
And they're all acted by the same actor, but all completely different voices. And I think there's over 1 million words or something like of lines of dialogue in this game. It's amazing. It's a triumphant masterpiece. I don't know how else to rave about
Alex,
it.
I'm not a gamer. I don't... you know, I had like Atari when I was a kid. So just explain to the listeners who are like me, who are not gamers, do you play that with other people? Is it online?
It's a solo experience.
It's a solo experience.
It's it would
and
be
is it like time? Like do you have certain time limits? You have to solve things, or you kind of it's at your own pace that you're creating.
It's at completely your own pace. It would be classified as a point and click game, meaning. There's no combat. You don't have to be like the most hardcore gamer with fast reflexes to play this game. You're going at your own pace. You're literally just walking around this beautiful environment and searching for clues. Basically talking to people, trying to get clues.
Can do this.
I think you could, honestly. But it's a brilliant game. It's set in like this alternate world. It's kind of set in like Estonia, but in the 70s. That's where kind of the disco theme comes in a little bit. But I also learned in my research for this episode that disco is actually Latin for I learn. So the title I Learn Elysium and Elysium.
So another layer is peeled back.
Oh, this game is so good.
Interesting.
Another fun fact about the game: the clothes that you wear also influences how you feel about yourself, which influences the conversations you can have in your inner monologue. And one of my favorite characters in the game is actually a necktie. So you find this ratty, disgusting necktie.
I was going to ask, you find the clothes and that's how you...
Yeah, because you're naked when you start.
Right.
So whatever clothes you're wearing, influences how you feel. So if you dress up in like cop clothes, you'll feel more confident in like your investigating skills.
Sure.
But if you dress in like these crazy 70s disco clothes, you might feel more like your sixth sense. I forget what the actual part of your brain is called in the game, but you'll be more intuitive in finding clues.
Yeah.
Or kind of like reading people and stuff. And
so did you solve the game?
Yes.
You did.
There's multiple endings depending on
which route you take. I don't want to spoil anything, but how you develop your own character plays a part in how the story unfolds too. So if you kind of go into I'm more like the super cop, they call it, route, it influences who will talk to you and what information you can get, or you can just become a total recluse and be like a wild card, and that will influence how the ending plays out. Yeah.
Great game.
Sounds
Great game.
wonderful.
Do we have it?
It's available on Nintendo Switch. It's available on every platform now. The one we would have it for is probably Nintendo Switch. I'm going to put a little bug in Marianne and Christina's ear that we should order it for the library.
Okay.
But look for it. It's on sale regularly. You can pick it up for a pretty cheap price.
Nice tie-in with the whole mystery.
Yeah, I had to mention it.
Yeah, so when I play any kind of game that I do play, like I have a couple of games, on my phone. I can't take the pressure of the time limits or the,
Oh, no.
So I just like going at my pace type of games.
Yeah. The soundtrack's great too. I will mention it.
So remember that old, what was that, Legends of Zelda?
Yeah.
Not like that.
Not like that, but that was that type of first introduction that like you did have some time to think about what you were going to right, as opposed to like Donkey Kong or something. I'm talking about my age group where like you had speed
time
and
ran out,
Right, you were just out.
Yeah.
Centipedes would just come down on top of you.
Yeah,
So-
no barrels are going to knock you out. And
Right.
You're not going to get restarted.
I haven't played a lot of modern video games, but I've noticed the ones that I have played, they've gotten rid of some of the most frustrating parts of like Atari, like
Yeah.
time limits, or
Yeah.
you die and then the game's over forever. You have to start from the beginning.
Right, yeah. So I'm glad to hear that. We've progressed. So we're like the old people in Thursday Murder Club, like, oh, what is this young video game thing about? So that would be such a funny thing to put in the Thursday Murder Club, of having them to solve, like, play a video game.
Have to play a game to find a
in order
clue.
to find a clue. I think we should send that over to the author.
Yeah. All right, well, that's all I got. Thank you so much for
So fun, Alex.
for joining me.
Thanks
Thank
for having
you.
us.
We'll have you back again. Maybe not mystery, but maybe a different
Okay,
topic.
we got lots to talk about.
We got more mystery to talk about. There's always going to be more murders to
Yes.
talk about.
Okay, we're here for you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Alex.
Bye.
Bye.